When my dad saw me on the subway with my kid, he asked, "Why aren't you using the car I gave you?" I told him my husband and Amila took my car and used my family to threaten me. He just said, "Don't worry." Before we continue, I just want to say thank you for taking the time to hear my story. If you're comfortable, let me know where you're listening from and what time it is where you are. Now let me tell you my story. I was standing on the platform at the Jackson Street subway station, holding my 3-year-old son Isaiah close to me, when I heard a voice I'd been avoiding for 2 months. "Naomi? Naomi Mitchell? Is that you?" I froze, turned around slowly, my heart sinking. It was my father, Raymond. I hadn't seen him in almost 2 months. I'd been making excuses every time he called. "I'm too busy with Isaiah. Work is crazy right now. I'm coming down with something. Next weekend for sure." I'd cut our phone calls short, citing exhaustion, headaches, anything to get off the phone before he heard the tremor in my voice or the desperation I was trying so hard to hide. Now he was standing right in front of me on the subway platform, and by the look on his face I knew he saw everything. He saw my worn-out puffer coat with the pocket that had ripped open weeks ago. The cheap boots with the thin soles I'd bought off some discount website for $22. Isaiah in a snowsuit that was clearly too small for him, the sleeves ending 2 inches above his wrists, the legs pulling up to show his ankles. He saw my face, gaunt, hollow, dark circles under my eyes that no amount of concealer could hide anymore. And he saw my hands trembling, from exhaustion, from fear, from 2 months of living in constant terror. "Dad?" I managed, attempting a smile. But my lips just started shaking instead. "Why are you at the subway station?" my father asked, walking closer, his eyes scanning me with deep concern. "What about your car? I bought you that new Kia for your birthday just last year. A 2023 Kia Forte. What happened to it?" "I sold it," I said quietly, looking away. "I needed the cash." "For what?" My father's voice tightened. "Naomi, what is going on? You look like you've been run ragged. Why aren't you answering my calls properly? And where is Terrence?" The tears started before I could stop them. For 2 months I had held it together. 2 months of silence, of fear, of complying with every demand, handing over money, enduring the insults, living in constant dread that one wrong move would result in my father being hurt again, or worse, my son being taken from me. Now, looking into my father's eyes, the eyes of the man who'd raised me, protected me, taught me to be strong, I knew I couldn't do it anymore. I couldn't keep lying, couldn't keep pretending everything was fine. "Dad," I whispered, my voice breaking, "let's go somewhere private. Please." We walked 3 blocks to a corner cafe called Morningside Brew. My father held Isaiah's hand while I walked beside them, my mind racing, trying to figure out how to explain 2 months of hell. Inside the cafe, Dad ordered Isaiah an apple juice and a chocolate chip cookie, then settled him at a table with some crayons. The barista provided. Then he sat across from me, took my hand, and looked directly into my eyes. "Tell me," he said simply, "all of it." And I did. I told him everything. I told him how after Isaiah was born 3 years ago, my mother-in-law Lorraine Jenkins started visiting more and more often. How at first it was helpful advice about babies, about motherhood, about managing a household. Then it turned into demands. Then ultimatums. I explained how she found out that the 2-bedroom condo in downtown Atlanta, my grandmother's legacy to me, the place I'd inherited when Grandma Cecilia passed 5 years ago, was fully in my name. Deed title, everything, worth about $420,000. Now fully paid off. And how Lorraine started demanding I sign it over. For Isaiah's future, she'd said. "A child needs security, you should put it in a trust for him. I'll manage it." I'd refused, politely at first. "It's my grandmother's inheritance. I want to manage my own property. I'll set up something for Isaiah when he's older, but right now this is mine." That's when it all started. My father listened in silence, his grip on my hand tightening with each sentence. "Do you remember that incident 3 months ago?" I asked, looking up at him. "Near your house? That evening when you got jumped, you said it was random vandalism. Just bad luck." "I remember." My father's face went stone cold. "It wasn't random." I watched the color drain from his face. "The very next day after that happened," I continued, my voice shaking, "Lorraine came to my apartment. She sat in my living room, sipped tea I'd made for her, and said, 'How's your daddy doing? I heard he got roughed up pretty bad. You know things happen to older folks these days. Next time it could be worse. Much worse. She smiled when she said it. Dad. Smiled. My father's jaw clenched so hard I could see the muscles jumping. But he remained silent, letting me get it all out. I was terrified, but I still refused to sign. That's when Terrence showed me a video. I pulled out my phone, hands shaking, and showed him a clip I'd saved as evidence. It was me supposedly screaming at Isaiah, shaking him, saying awful horrible things, looking like a monster. It's edited, Dad. They took pieces from different moments, times when I was playing with him, when I was mock scolding him during a game, when I was tired and frustrated but not actually yelling at him. They cut and spliced it all together, removed all context, manipulated the audio, but it looks terrifying, like I'm abusing my own child. My father watched the video, his expression growing darker with each second. They said they would send it to Child Protective Services if I didn't sign the papers. That they'd prove I'm a bad mother and take Isaiah away from me, that I'd never see him again. Those monsters, my father said aloud, the first time he'd spoken since I started the story. That's not all. I wiped away tears. Lorraine used some contacts she has. I don't know who, to get copies of my corporate documents from my job. Financial reports I work on as a senior accountant at Morrison & Drake. She forged them, Dad, changed the numbers, altered signatures, made it look exactly like I've been embezzling money from the company. About $50,000 over 6 months. I showed him printed copies. Even I had to admit they looked convincing. If you didn't know they were fake, you'd believe them completely. She said if I didn't comply she'd send those documents to my boss and the police, that I'd be arrested for embezzlement, locked up, and then Isaiah would be gone anyway because I'd be in jail and she'd get custody as his grandmother. My father closed his eyes, taking a deep breath. Keep going. They demand my entire paycheck, Dad. Every last dollar. I make $4,200 a month. After taxes. Terrence takes my bank card the day I get paid, goes to the ATM, and pulls out everything. Every cent, hands it directly to his mother. They leave me and Isaiah exactly $80 a week. For food, transit, daycare co-pays, diapers, everything. $80 a week. My father's face had gone completely pale. I stopped buying new clothes for myself. I wear what I have until it falls apart. I get Isaiah's clothes from those discount websites, the ones where everything is $5 or $10. Sometimes I borrow money from coworkers just to buy groceries. Just to feed my son. The car, I continued, my voice breaking completely now. They forced me to sell it. Told me to sell it immediately and give them the cash. The car was worth $12,000. I sold it in 3 days for $8,000 because I needed to move it fast like they demanded. Loretta took all of it. Every dollar, said it was the first installment for their silence. Where is Terrence in all this? My father's voice was ice. He's completely on his mother's side. He says I should be grateful they haven't taken Isaiah yet. That I need to listen or it'll get worse. He controls my phone, Dad. Reads all my messages. Checks my call log. They strictly forbade me from telling anyone, especially you and Mom. They said if they found out I complained to you next time you wouldn't just get beaten up. Next time, I couldn't finish the sentence. My father covered my hand with both of his. Next time what? Lorraine's brother, Devon. He did 8 years in prison for armed robbery. Got out 4 years ago. It was his people who jumped you that night. She told me straight out, he can fix any problem. She said it just like that. Fix any problem. I knew what she meant. I was sobbing now. Everything I'd bottled up for 2 months pouring out. They still want the condo, I said through tears. They're pushing harder and harder for me to sign it over to Terrence and he'll pass it to his mother. They say it's only fair since I'm living with their son, that Grandma's condo should be family property. I keep refusing, but Dad, last week, Davin's guys were standing outside Isaiah's daycare. Just standing there, watching. When I picked Isaiah up, one of them looked right at me and smiled. It was a warning. 2 days later Lorraine called and said, nice daycare Isaiah goes to. Very trusting staff. Probably easy for anyone to just walk right in. My father's hands were gripping mine so tightly now it almost hurt. Why didn't you tell me? He asked, his voice rough with emotion. Why didn't you tell me right away when this started? I was scared, Dad. Terrified. They hurt you once already. I couldn't risk them doing it again, or worse, or hurting Mom, or actually taking Isaiah. They have those forged documents, that video. They have people who will do anything. I felt trapped, completely trapped. I didn't know what to do. My father stood up abruptly, walked to the window and stood there in silence, looking out at the street. Isaiah was peacefully eating his cookie, not understanding a word of the adult conversation happening 3 feet away. I stared at my father's back, feeling like telling the story hadn't brought relief at all. The fear had only intensified. What happens now? What happens when Lorraine finds out I told him? My father returned to the table, sat down and looked at me with an expression I'd never seen before. Something cold, hard and intensely professional. Naomi, he said calmly. There are some things you don't know about me. What do you mean? You know I worked for the federal government for 25 years. You know I retired and now do security consulting. But you don't know exactly what I did during those 25 years. I frowned. My father had always been vague about his career. Government analyst was how he described it. Something with data and reports. Boring office work. I'd always assumed. I was FBI, he said quietly. I stared at him. Organized crime division. 25 years. I did undercover operations, surveillance, wiretaps, asset seizures, witness protection coordination, RICO case development. I helped take down crime families, drug cartels, extortion rings, money laundering operations. My mouth fell open. I know how to collect information people are trying to hide. I know how to find weak spots in criminal enterprises. I know how to plan operations so precisely that the targets don't even realize they're trapped until the handcuffs are on their wrists. He leaned closer. I didn't quit that line of work when I retired from the bureau. I consult on organized crime cases for police departments and private firms. I still have connections in law enforcement. FBI, local police, federal prosecutors. I have people who will help me if I ask, and I have skills that you don't forget, ever. I was speechless. Your mother-in-law and her ex-con brother think they're the smartest people in the room. They think they can blackmail and threaten and intimidate without consequences. They chose the wrong family. There was steel in his voice. They touched my daughter. They threatened my grandson. That was their biggest mistake. The absolute worst decision they could have made. Dad, what are you going to do? I'm going to solve this problem so completely that they never dare to think about you or Isaiah again. So that all their threats turn against them. So that the evidence they've manufactured becomes evidence of their own crimes. But for that, I need time, and I need your help. What kind of help? You need to act completely normal. Keep handing over the money. Keep enduring the abuse. Don't show that you told me anything. You must not change your behavior at all. This is critical. They must be convinced you are broken, that you'll stay silent and obey. Do you understand? I nodded, though my insides were twisting with terror. How long? A few weeks, maybe a month. I need to gather intelligence, prepare evidence, and plan every detail. We can't rush this. If we mess up, if they even suspect something, they'll destroy all the evidence and disappear. We have to act precisely, with no room for error. What if they find out I told you? They won't. We won't meet again. We won't talk on the phone. We'll communicate through a secure messenger I'm going to install on your phone right now. The messages will delete automatically. There will be no trace even if Terrence checks your phone. He won't find a thing. Dad, I'm scared. I know, baby, but you have to trust me. I won't let anyone hurt you. No one will touch you, Isaiah, or your mother. I promise you. I've handled bigger threats than some greedy mother-in-law, and her criminal brother. Just hold on a little longer. Can you do that? I looked at Isaiah, who was smiling at me, his face smeared with chocolate. I looked back at my father, whose eyes held absolute certainty. I nodded. I can. Good girl. My father took out his phone, installed an encrypted messaging app on mine, taught me how to use it, and showed me how to hide it and wipe the installation logs. He gave me specific instructions on how to handle Lorraine and Terrence over the coming weeks. The main thing is not to show that anything has changed. You are a broken, scared woman who's ready to do anything to protect her child. That's the role you have to play. But inside, remember this is temporary. It will be over soon. We walked out of the coffee shop. My father hugged me tightly and kissed Isaiah on the top of his head. Hold on, sweetheart. I'm right here. Even if you can't see me, I'm working, and I'm going to end this. I walked back toward the subway, holding my son's hand, and for the first time in 2 months, I felt something besides fear. I felt hope. That same evening my father sat in his home office, pulled out a leather notebook he hadn't used in years and began writing. At the top of the first page, Operation Family Shield. He created organizational charts, timelines, and target profiles like he'd done hundreds of times during his bureau career. Target 1. Lorraine Jenkins. 62 years old. Suspected head of conspiracy. Motive: financial gain. Daughter-in-law's $420,000 condo. Method: extortion through threats of violence and fabricated evidence. Target 2. Devon Jenkins. 58 years old. Brother of Target 1. Criminal history: armed robbery 2008-2016, 8 years served. Current status: suspected muscle enforcement. Organized assault on Raymond Mitchell, myself 3 months ago. Target 3. Terrence Mitchell, 35 years old, son-in-law, weak-willed, fully controlled by mother. Target 1. Active participant in financial control and intimidation, potential for recruitment if pressured correctly. Victim: Naomi Mitchell, 32 years old, my daughter, senior accountant, Morrison and Drake. Income $4,200 month after taxes. Currently under complete financial control, receiving only $80 week allowance. Evidence required: proof of extortion and threats, audio-video recordings. Proof: Devon organized assault on me. Forensic analysis of forged financial documents. Forensic analysis of fabricated video. Financial paper trail showing money flow. Testimony from Terrence if recruited. Objectives: gather irrefutable evidence. Neutralize all threats to Naomi and Isaiah. Recover stolen money if possible. Ensure criminal prosecution of Lorraine and Devon. Secure Naomi's safety and full custody of Isaiah. My father picked up his phone and started making calls. First number: Jackson, it's Raymond. Yeah, been a while. Listen, I need help. Small, unofficial operation. Surveillance equipment, recording devices, technical support. Can you do it? Jackson Torres, former FBI technical specialist, now running a private security firm. For you? Always. What are we looking at? Family situation, extortion, threats, fabricated evidence, need bugs, cameras, phone monitoring, clean installation, undetectable. When do you need it? Starting tomorrow. I'll clear my schedule. Send me the details. Second call: Dominic, Raymond Mitchell, got a surveillance job, 2 targets, possibly 3, need full coverage, photos, movements, contacts, everything. Dominic Reese, former FBI undercover operative, now private investigator, one of the best surveillance specialists Raymond had ever worked with. How long? Minimum 2 weeks, possibly a month. Depending on how fast they incriminate themselves. I'm in. Send the target files. Third call: Kendra, it's Raymond. Need forensic document analysis. Suspected forgeries, financial records, and a video file. Need court-ready reports. Kendra Walsh, former FBI forensic document examiner, now independent expert witness. She testified in dozens of federal trials. What kind of timeline? As fast as possible. This is personal. It's my daughter. Say no more, send everything over, I'll prioritize it. Fourth call: Lieutenant Hayes, Raymond Mitchell. Remember me? Raymond: of course. How long has it been? 3 years. Lieutenant Marcus Hayes, Atlanta Police Department, major crimes. They'd worked together on a joint FBI-APD task force targeting organized crime. Too long. Listen, I need a favor. May need arrest coordination in a few weeks. Extortion case. Assault. Possibly RICO if the evidence supports it. What are we talking about? My daughter is being extorted by her mother-in-law and the MLO's brother, who's got priors for armed robbery. They've got her under complete financial control, threatened violence against me and my grandson, fabricated evidence to threaten her with. I'm building the case now. When I'm ready, I'll need warrants and arrests coordinated. Your daughter? Hell yes. I'm in. Whatever you need. You kept me alive on that Rodriguez case. I owe you. You don't owe me anything. But I appreciate it. By midnight, Raymond had his team assembled. 4 people, all former colleagues, all trusted, all ready to help. The operation was officially underway. The next morning, Jackson arrived at Raymond's house with 2 large equipment cases. All right, let's see what we're working with, Jackson said, spreading out an array of devices on the dining room table. Micro audio transmitters. No bigger than a shirt button. camera units disguised as electrical outlets, smoke detectors, picture frames, phone monitoring software, recording equipment, GPS trackers. First, we need access to the primary target's residence, Jackson said. Lorraine Jenkins's apartment. We need to install audio surveillance. What's the address? Raymond provided it. She lives alone in a 2-bedroom apartment. Building has standard security, nothing sophisticated. I'll need her schedule. When is she reliably out of the apartment? I'll have Dominic surveil her for 3 days, establish her patterns, then you'll have a window. Dominic began surveillance that afternoon. For 3 days he photographed Lorraine's every movement. She followed a predictable routine, left for the grocery store every Tuesday and Friday morning at 9 a.m., gone for approximately 90 minutes. Left for her weekly book club every Wednesday evening at 6 p.m., returned around 9 p.m. Friday morning is your best window, Dominic reported. She leaves at 9 a.m., always parks at the same grocery store, shops for exactly 90 minutes. Traffic getting back takes another 15 minutes. You'll have at least an hour and 15 minutes. Probably closer to 90. Friday morning, Jackson entered Lorraine's apartment building wearing a maintenance uniform, carrying a toolbox. Building security barely glanced at him. He picked the lock on her apartment door in 40 seconds. A skill he'd perfected during his FBI years. Inside, he moved quickly and methodically. Microtransmitter installed inside the living room smoke detector. Another in the kitchen light fixture. A third in the bedroom lamp. Camera unit installed in a decorative picture frame on the bookshelf, aimed at the dining table where conversations likely occurred. Total installation time 18 minutes. He was out of the building and 3 blocks away when Lorraine returned with her groceries. That evening, Raymond sat in a rented apartment directly below Lorraine's, listening through headphones to the first transmissions. Crystal clear audio. Perfect. He heard Lorraine on the phone. Devon, it's me. We need to talk about the money situation. Naomi's paycheck is only covering basics. We need to push harder for her to sign the condo. That's where the real money is. Yeah, I know. Next week let's set up another meeting with her. Really pressure her this time. Maybe have your guys make another appearance near the daycare. Right. Scare her into compliance. Raymond recorded every word. Meanwhile, Dominic had begun surveillance on Devon Jenkins. Within a week he had a comprehensive file, photos of Devon meeting with known criminals, conducting what appeared to be loan sharking collections, meeting with Lorraine 3 times to exchange envelopes, likely money. This guy's still active, Dominic reported. He's running a small extortion and loan sharking operation. About 6 clients that I can identify. He's also clearly working with his sister on your daughter's situation. I've got photos of them meeting to count cash. Perfect. Keep documenting everything. Kendra received forged financial documents and the edited video of Isaiah. She worked for 3 days, barely sleeping. Her report on the documents. Forgeries are actually quite sophisticated but detectable under forensic analysis. Signatures were created using graphic editing software. I can identify the specific program used, Adobe Photoshop. The financial numbers were altered digitally. Under microscopic examination and digital forensic analysis, the alterations are obvious. I can testify in court that these documents are 100% fabricated. Her report on the video classic editing job. The video was compiled from at least 7 to 8 different source clips taken at different times, provable by lighting analysis, clothing changes, and background elements. Audio has been manipulated. Some segments are pitch shifted, others are taken from entirely different contexts. The software used was basic consumer-grade editing, likely Adobe Premiere or similar. This is absolutely fabricated evidence. I can provide expert testimony that would destroy any credibility this video might have. Raymond reviewed both reports with satisfaction. The manufactured evidence was now proven to be exactly that. Manufactured. 2 weeks into the operation, Raymond had complete audio surveillance of Lorraine's apartment, dozens of incriminating conversations recorded, comprehensive surveillance file on Devon, photos, movements, criminal activities, forensic proof that the financial documents were forged, forensic proof that the Isaiah video was fabricated, cooperation secured with Lautet Hayes for eventual arrest coordination. But he needed more. He needed direct financial evidence. He needed to catch them in the act of taking Naomi's money. That's when he implemented Phase 2, the marked money. Through his FBI contacts, Raymond obtained access to a federal program that tracked currency serial numbers. Certain bills could be flagged in a database, so if they appeared during any law enforcement search, they could be traced back to their source. Naomi's next paycheck, $4,200 after taxes, was withdrawn in cash using bills Raymond had obtained and marked. Every serial number was logged in the federal database, linked to a case file Raymond's FBI contact had created. Suspected extortion proceeds. Terrence took Naomi's bank card as usual, went to the ATM, withdrew the entire $4,200 and handed it to his mother. Lorraine counted it, nodded with satisfaction. Good girl, she's finally learning. The marked money was now in Lorraine's possession. She gave $1,500 to Devon the next day. Raymond's bugs caught the conversation. This is from Naomi's paycheck, Lorraine said. Consider it payment for your services. Protection, making sure she stays in line. She signed the condo yet? Not yet, but she will. She's terrified. It's only a matter of time. The marked bills were now in Devon's possession. Raymond coordinated with Lottie Hayes. We need to execute a search warrant on Devon Jenkins. I've got evidence he's running an extortion and loan sharking operation. Anonymous tip. What are we looking for? Weapons, drugs if we're lucky, but most importantly, cash, specifically marked bills that are flagged in the federal database. You set up a money trap. Exactly. Lottie Hayes smiled. Beautiful. Let me talk to the DA, get the warrant. The warrant was approved within 3 days. Early morning raid. 6 officers hit Devon's apartment at 6 a.m. Devon answered the door in boxers and a stained t-shirt. Eyes bleary. What the hell? Atlanta PD, we have a warrant to search these premises. Step aside. The search lasted 2 hours. They found an unregistered .38 revolver in the bedroom closet, a small quantity of cocaine in the bathroom, and most importantly, $2,800 in cash hidden in a false bottom drawer in the kitchen. Where did this money come from? The lead detective asked. That's mine. I earned it. Doing what? Various jobs. The detective ran the serial numbers through the database. 6 of the bills came back flagged, marked money, linked to an active extortion investigation. Devon Jenkins, you're under arrest for possession of an illegal firearm, possession of controlled substances and suspicion of extortion. You have the right to remain silent. Devon was taken into custody. Lorraine received the phone call 2 hours later. Raymond's bugs captured her panic. What do you mean arrested? What did they find? The money? What money? What money? Oh God! Oh God! Did Naomi talk? Did that bitch talk? She immediately called Terrence. Your uncle's been arrested. They found money. Your wife, did she say anything to anyone? No, Mom. I check her phone every day. She hasn't called or texted anyone suspicious. Check again, right now. Check everything. Terrence went home, demanded Naomi's phone, went through it thoroughly. The encrypted app Raymond had installed was hidden so expertly it was invisible unless you knew exactly what to look for. Terrence saw nothing suspicious. She's clean, Mom. No calls, no texts, nothing. Then how did the police know about Devon? I don't know. Maybe someone else talked. He's got a lot of operations running. Lorraine was partially satisfied but remained nervous. This was exactly the state Raymond wanted her in. Anxious, off balance, but not yet suspicious of the real source. Meanwhile, Raymond implemented Phase 3, the medical crisis. He needed Lorraine to feel even more confident, more careless. People make mistakes when they think they're winning. Through a doctor contact, Raymond arranged a hospital admission. Chest pains, possible heart attack, official medical records, IV drips, monitoring equipment. The full presentation. The news reached Lorraine through Terrence, who called to ask about his father-in-law's condition. Seriously, his heart. Lorraine's voice, captured by the bugs, was almost gleeful. Well, at his age, that's not surprising. She called Devon's lawyer to discuss Devon's case, and Raymond's bugs caught the conversation. The old man, Naomi's father, is in the hospital. Heart problems. Maybe he'll die on his own and we won't have to worry about him anymore. One less problem. All recorded. She was getting sloppy, confident, talking freely. Perfect. While hospitalized, Raymond coordinated Phase 4 recruiting Terrence. He knew from 25 years of FBI work that every criminal conspiracy has a weak link. Someone who's in it not by choice but by coercion or fear. Someone who can be flipped, Terrence was that weak link. Raymond arranged a meeting through an intermediary. A therapist Terrence had seen once, 2 years ago. Mr. Mitchell, this is Dr. Sarah Brennan. We worked together briefly 2 years ago if you remember. I remember. I have a colleague who needs to speak with you urgently, about your family situation. It's important. Can you meet him tomorrow at 2 p.m., neutral location, just coffee? Terrence, curious and worried, agreed. The next day, Terrence walked into a Starbucks in Midtown Atlanta and saw Raymond sitting in the corner booth. His face went white. What? You're supposed to be in the hospital. Sit down, Terrence. We need to talk. I'm not talking to you. Yes, you are. Because if you walk out of here, the next conversation you have will be with the FBI and the DA's office. Sit down. Terrence sat, looking terrified. Raymond pulled out a tablet and played a recording. Lorraine's voice. Terrence is such a wimp. I tell him to jump. He says how high. Pathetic. We've broken Naomi completely. Once we get the condo, we'll sell it and split the money. Obviously, we won't give Terrence anything. What does he need it for? He's useless anyway. Terrence's face crumbled. Raymond played another clip. We should hit the old man again. Remind Naomi what happens when she doesn't cooperate. Divin says his guys can make it look like a mugging gone wrong. Final this time. And another. That video we made of Naomi? It's complete bullshit. But CPS won't know that. They'll take Isaiah, do an investigation, and by the time they figure out it's fake, we'll have the condo sold. Terrence is too stupid to realize I'm playing him. Terrence put his head in his hands. Do you understand now? Raymond's voice was cold. Your mother is using you. You're destroying your own family, terrorizing your wife, stealing from your son's mother for a woman who laughs at you behind your back and plans to cut you out entirely. I thought it was for the family. What family? You've turned your wife into a terrified slave. You've stolen her inheritance. You're an accomplice to extortion, assault, fraud, and witness intimidation. Do you understand what that means? You're a criminal, Terrence. I don't care what you meant. I care what you did, and what you did was let your mother manipulate you into destroying the life of the woman you supposedly love. Terrence was crying now. Raymond leaned forward. You have one choice. One. Either you keep following your mother and you go to prison next to her when this case breaks, and it will break. I guarantee it. Or you walk away right now, cooperate, provide evidence, and maybe you avoid jail time and have a chance to fix things with your son someday. What do you want from me? Your text messages with your mother. All of them. Access to any documents she's hiding. Your testimony about everything. The threats, the money, the assault on me, all of it. And you keep acting normal so she doesn't suspect anything until we're ready to move. And if I refuse, I hand everything I've collected to the FBI and the DA. Your mother gets charged with RICO conspiracy, extortion, elder abuse, fraud. Devon's already in custody. You'll be charged as an accomplice. Naomi will divorce you, get full custody, and you'll see Isaiah through prison glass for the next 10 years. Choose. Long silence. Then quietly, I'll give you the messages. My testimony, everything, but I don't want Naomi to know how far I fell. She already knows you've been torturing her for months. But if you cooperate, if you genuinely help build this case, maybe your son will forgive you one day. Maybe, that's the best you can hope for. Terrence nodded, tears streaming down his face. That evening Raymond received complete access to Terrence's phone. Text messages between Terrence and Lorraine. Mom, Naomi got paid today. $4,200. I took it all. Good. Bring it to me tomorrow. She's asking for more money for Isaiah's winter clothes. The $80 week isn't enough. Tell her to make it work. She's not getting more. She looks terrible, Mom. She's losing weight. She's scared all the time. Good. Scared is how we need her. Don't go soft on me. What if she tells someone? She won't. She knows what happens if she does. Your father-in-law already learned that lesson. Next time won't be a warning. Dozens of messages, all documenting the conspiracy, the threats, the financial control. Raymond had everything he needed. He coordinated with Loden Hayes and called in a favor with his former FBI unit chief, now a senior agent in the Atlanta field office. Raymond Mitchell, been a while. Agent Carlson, I need a consult on a case. Possible RICO. I'm listening. Raymond laid out the entire case. Systematic extortion over 3 months. Threats of violence. fabricated evidence, financial control, assault on a witness himself, conspiracy involving multiple parties, money trail, recordings, forensic evidence, witness testimony. Agent Carlson reviewed the materials for an hour. This is solid, really solid. You could bring federal RICO charges, pattern of racketeering, extortion, fraud, or keep it local and go with state charges. What do you prefer? I want maximum impact. What puts them away longest? Federal RICO. If we can prove the pattern of criminal activity, we're looking at 15-20 years for the primary actors. Plus asset forfeiture, we can seize any property or money they obtained through the conspiracy. Let's do it. The final trap was set. Naomi, following Raymond's instructions, sent a message to Terrence. I'll sign the condo papers. I can't do this anymore. Just set up the meeting with the attorney. I'll sign. Terrence immediately told Lorraine. Lorraine was ecstatic. Finally, that fool finally broke. Set it up for next week. I want this done. She called her attorney a shady lawyer named Vincent Driscoll, who specialized in questionable real estate transactions. Vincent, we're ready. The property transfer we discussed. Set up the meeting, Wednesday, 2 p.m., and I'm bringing security. Security? A friend, just to make sure nothing goes wrong. That friend was Bruno Costa, one of Devon's criminal associates. A 6'4", 280-pound former enforcer with a lengthy record. Perfect, Raymond thought when he heard this through the wiretap. She's bringing muscle to intimidate my daughter at a legal proceeding. That's coercion under color of threat. Additional charges. The attorney's office was owned by Vincent Driscoll, but Raymond's team had gotten there first. Through Lotent Hayes, they'd approached Driscoll with a choice. Cooperate with law enforcement on a criminal investigation or face charges as an accessory to extortion and fraud. Driscoll folded immediately. Whatever you need. I don't want any part of this. Wednesday afternoon. The stage was set. Naomi arrived at the attorney's office at 1:50 p.m., looking exactly like she had for the past 3 months. Exhausted, terrified, defeated. She carried Isaiah, who was confused about why they were at a lawyer's office. Lorraine arrived at 1:55 p.m. with Bruno in tow. She smiled when she saw Naomi. A predator's smile. Good girl. You finally came to your senses. They entered the office. Driscoll greeted them professionally, offered seats. All right, Miss Mitchell, Driscoll said, opening a folder. You're here to sign over the deed to your property at 847 Peachtree Street, Unit 4B, to your husband Terrence Mitchell. Is that correct? Yes, Naomi whispered. And this is your voluntary decision? No one is forcing you. Naomi glanced at Lorraine, who was staring at her intensely. At Bruno, who stood in the corner, massive and menacing. Yes, voluntary. I need to confirm, do you understand that after this transfer you will have no ownership rights to this property? It will belong entirely to your husband. I understand. Very well. I need you to read this document carefully. Then sign here, here, and here. Driscoll slid the papers across the desk. Naomi picked up the pen. Her hand was shaking, not acting genuine fear. She signed the first line, then the second. She held the pen over the third signature line. Come on, Lorraine hissed. Finish it. Naomi started to lower the pen. The door burst open. FBI agents poured in, followed by Atlanta PD officers, followed by Lotent Hayes. FBI, nobody move, hands where we can see them. Bruno tried to run. 2 agents tackled him within 3 steps. Lorraine stood up screaming. What is this? What the hell is this? Lorraine Jenkins. Agent Carlson stepped forward, showing his badge. You're under arrest for conspiracy to commit extortion, racketeering under the RICO statute, wire fraud, coercion under color of threat, and elder abuse. You have the right to remain silent. This is insane. Naomi, tell them you wanted to sign the condo over. Naomi stood up, holding Isaiah close. Mrs. Jenkins. Agent Carlson continued. We have 6 weeks of recorded conversations from surveillance equipment installed in your apartment. We have text messages between you and your son documenting the entire conspiracy. We have forensic evidence proving you fabricated financial documents and a video. We have testimony from your son about the threats and violence. We have marked currency traced directly from your daughter-in-law's paycheck to your brother's apartment. You're done. Lorraine's face went completely white. Bruno Costa, another agent, addressed the enforcer. You're under arrest as an accessory to extortion and coercion. Bruno was cuffed and led away. Lorraine was cuffed, still screaming, "This is a setup. Terrence, where is Terrence? Tell them this is all a misunderstanding." "Terrence isn't coming," Ledon Hayes said. "Terrence provided testimony against you. He's agreed to cooperate with the prosecution in exchange for immunity." "He what?" "He told us everything, Mrs. Jenkins. How you manipulated him. How you orchestrated the assault on Raymond Mitchell. How you forged documents. How you fabricated the video of your grandson. How you've been stealing Naomi's entire paycheck for 3 months. All of it." Lorraine's legs gave out. 2 agents had to hold her up. She was read her Miranda rights and led out of the office in handcuffs, still screaming about betrayal and setups. After everyone left, Naomi stood in the office still holding Isaiah, shaking. Raymond walked in from the observation room where he'd been watching. "Dad?" Naomi collapsed into his arms, sobbing. "It's over. It's really over. It's over, baby. You're safe. Isaiah's safe. She can't hurt you anymore." The legal proceedings moved swiftly. Devin Jenkins was already in custody on the weapons and drug charges. When the federal extortion charges were added, his situation became dire. His attorney reviewed the evidence, marked money proving he'd received proceeds from extortion, photos of him meeting with Lorraine to exchange cash, testimony from Terrence about Devin's role in the conspiracy, recordings of Lorraine discussing using Devin's people for violence. "You're looking at 10-15 years minimum," his attorney told him, "maybe 20 with your priors. I strongly recommend a plea deal." Devin took the deal, 10 years federal prison in exchange for testifying against Lorraine about the assault on Raymond and his role in the conspiracy. Lorraine faced the most serious charges: RICO conspiracy, organizing a criminal enterprise; extortion, obtaining property through threats; wire fraud, using electronic communications to defraud; coercion under color of threat, forcing someone to sign legal documents through intimidation; elder abuse, organizing assault on Raymond; forgery, fabricating financial documents; creating false evidence, the Isaiah video. Combined, she was looking at 15-20 years. Her attorney tried to negotiate, but the evidence was overwhelming. Dozens of recorded conversations, text messages, forensic reports, testimony from her own son, marked money, financial records. "Take the plea," her attorney advised. "If this goes to trial, you'll get the maximum on every charge." Lorraine took the plea: 12 years federal prison, full restitution of $20,000 to Naomi, documented stolen money from paychecks and car sale, permanent restraining order preventing any contact with Naomi or Isaiah. At the sentencing hearing, Lorraine tried to make a statement about how she'd been trying to protect her family, how she'd been misunderstood. The judge cut her off. "Mrs. Jenkins, you organized a systematic campaign of terror against your own daughter-in-law. You stole her money. You threatened her child. You had your brother's associates assault her elderly father. You fabricated evidence to use as blackmail. This isn't protecting family. This is predatory behavior. 12 years in federal prison. Bailiff. Remand the defendant." Lorraine was led away in handcuffs, crying. Terrence avoided criminal charges due to his cooperation, but Naomi filed for divorce immediately. The proceedings were swift. Terrence didn't contest anything. He admitted to everything he'd done, provided testimony for the criminal cases, and agreed to all of Naomi's terms. Full custody of Isaiah to Naomi. Supervised visitation only for Terrence. Child support of $800 a month. Restraining order preventing Lorraine from ever contacting Isaiah. "I know I don't deserve it," Terrence said at the final hearing, "but I want to try to be in Isaiah's life, to be a real father. I know I destroyed our marriage, but he's still my son. You'll have supervised visits," the judge ruled, 1 Saturday per month for 6 months. "If you prove you're stable and no longer under your mother's influence, we'll revisit the arrangement." The divorce was finalized in 90 days. 1 year after that day on the subway platform, Naomi's life had transformed completely. She'd received a promotion at work. Her company Morrison & Drake had apologized profusely when they learned about the forged documents and the security breach that had allowed Lorraine to obtain them. They'd upgraded their systems, given Naomi a raise to $5,800 a month, and promoted her to senior financial analyst. She'd bought a new car, a 2024 Honda CR-V, reliable and safe. She'd rented out her grandmother's condo for $2,200 a month, generating passive income while keeping the property in her name. She'd moved into a larger apartment, 3 bedrooms in a safe neighborhood with good schools. Most importantly, she and Isaiah were free. No more fear. No more looking over her shoulder. No more trembling hands or sleepless nights. Raymond visited regularly, usually twice a week. He'd taken Isaiah to the park, teaching him chess like operational planning. You have to think 3 moves ahead. Terrence had completed his supervised visits without incident. He was in therapy, working on himself, trying to understand how he'd allowed his mother to manipulate him so completely. Can I see him more? Terrence asked Naomi after 6 months of successful visits. We'll see. Keep proving yourself. Keep being consistent. Isaiah deserves a father who actually shows up and does the work. I will, I promise. Naomi had started teaching a class at the community center, protecting yourself from family financial abuse. 20 to 30 people came each month, mostly women, mostly dealing with similar situations. She told her story, not all the details but enough. The financial control, the threats, the fear, the feeling of being trapped. And the solution: asking for help, trusting someone, allowing people with expertise to intervene. I thought I was alone, she told the class. I thought I had no options, but I had a father who had skills I didn't even know about, who had resources I didn't know existed, who could help me in ways I never imagined. What did he say when you told him everything? Someone asked. Naomi smiled, remembering that moment in the coffee shop. He said, don't worry, I've handled bigger threats than this. Just trust me. And I did. I trusted him. I let him work. I played my part, and he ended the threat so completely that the people who were terrorizing me are now in federal prison. So the lesson is, don't suffer in silence. Don't think you're helpless. Don't assume you have to endure abuse because it's family. Find someone you trust. Tell them everything. Let them help. And if they can't help directly, they'll find someone who can. The class participants nodded, taking notes, asking questions. After class, a young woman approached Naomi. My husband's mother is doing something similar. Taking my paycheck, threatening me if I don't comply. I'm scared. Do you have family who can help? My father, but he's just a teacher. He's not FBI like your dad. He can't do all that. He doesn't have to be FBI. He just has to care. And he has to know people, or know how to find people. Tell him, today, don't wait. The longer you wait, the worse it gets. The young woman nodded, tears in her eyes. Thank you. Naomi hugged her. You're not alone. None of us are alone. We just have to be brave enough to ask for help. 2 years after the operation, Naomi stood in her kitchen making dinner. Isaiah, now 5 years old, was at the table doing kindergarten homework. Her phone rang. Terrence. Hi, she answered. Hey, I wanted to ask if I could take Isaiah to the aquarium this Saturday. If that's okay? Naomi considered. Terrence had been consistent, showing up for every visit, paying child support on time, going to therapy, making genuine efforts to change. Okay. But my dad comes with you. Of course. I wouldn't ask otherwise. Pick him up at 10 a.m., have him back by 5 p.m. Thank you, Naomi. Really? She hung up and continued cooking. Later that evening, Raymond came over for dinner, a weekly tradition now. Isaiah ran to his grandfather. Grandpa, I got a gold star today for my math homework. A gold star? That's wonderful, soldier. Show me the homework. Raymond examined the math worksheet. Perfect score. Excellent work. You know what this is? What? This is strategic thinking. Math is patterns. Patterns are how we predict outcomes. You're learning how to think ahead. Like you did when you caught the bad guys. Raymond smiled. Exactly like that. After dinner, when Isaiah was asleep, Naomi and Raymond sat on the balcony with tea. How are you doing, really? Raymond asked. Good. Really good. Actually, I got another promotion at work. I'm managing a team now. That's wonderful. I never thanked you properly, Dad, for everything you did, for saving us. You don't need to thank me. You're my daughter. Protecting you is what I do. But you did more than protect me. You gave me my life back, my freedom, my security, everything. Raymond took her hand. You saved yourself too. You were brave enough to tell me to trust me, to play your part even when you were terrified. That took incredible strength. I learned it from you. They sat in comfortable silence, watching the city lights. Dad, can I ask you something? Anything. Did you ever think during your FBI career that you'd end up using those skills to protect your own family? Raymond thought about it. No, I always thought I was protecting strangers, the public society. I never imagined the biggest threat would come from within my own family circle. But you were ready? I was trained to be ready for anything. That's what 25 years of FBI work does. It teaches you to expect the unexpected and plan for every contingency. And it teaches you that the most dangerous people are often the ones who smile while they're destroying you. Exactly. Naomi looked at her father. I want Isaiah to grow up knowing what you did. Not the details, not the operational specifics, but that his grandfather was a hero. That when his mother was in danger, his grandfather used every skill he had to save her. He'll know. When he's old enough to understand, he'll know. Will you tell him about your FBI career? About the cases you worked? Some of them, the ones I'm allowed to talk about, and I'll teach him what I taught you. Never accept abuse, never stay silent when someone's hurting you, and never underestimate the power of asking for help. That's a good legacy. It's the only legacy that matters. 3 years after the operation, Naomi received a letter. It was from the federal prison in Coleman, Florida, from Lorraine Jenkins. She almost threw it away without reading it. But curiosity got the better of her. Dear Naomi, I know I have no right to contact you. I know the restraining order legally prevents it, but I asked the prison counselor to forward this letter on my behalf. If you're reading this, it means they agreed. I want to apologize for everything. For the threats, the control, the fear I put you through, for turning your life into a nightmare for 3 months. For what I did to your father, for trying to take Isaiah from you. I was consumed by greed, by the idea of that condo, that money. I convinced myself I deserved it, that I was entitled to it because Terrence married you. I was wrong, completely utterly wrong. I destroyed my own son. I destroyed my relationship with my grandson. I destroyed any chance I had of being a grandmother to Isaiah. And I destroyed you, or tried to. But you were stronger than I thought. You survived. You fought back. You won. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I don't deserve it. I'm just saying I'm sorry. And I hope you're happy. I hope Isaiah is happy. I hope you've rebuilt everything I tried to destroy. I have 9 more years in here. 9 years to think about what I did. To live with the consequences of my greed. I hope it was worth it. Except it wasn't. It was never worth it.
Goodbye, Naomi.
Lorraine. Naomi read the letter twice. Then she folded it, put it back in the envelope, and placed it in a drawer. She didn't respond. There was nothing to say. Lorraine was the past, a painful, dark chapter that was closed. The present was Isaiah's laughter, her career, her freedom, her peace. That evening she told her father about the letter. What do you think it means? Raymond asked. I think it means she's finally understanding what she lost. Not the money, the relationships, the family, the future she could have had with her grandson. Do you forgive her? Naomi thought carefully. I release her. I don't forgive her, but I release her. She doesn't occupy space in my mind anymore. She's not part of my life. She's just gone. That's healthy. I learned it from therapy and from you. You taught me that you can't let the past control the present. That's right. 4 years after the operation, Naomi met someone. His name was Marcus. He was a teacher at Isaiah's elementary school. Kind, patient, genuine. They dated slowly, carefully. Naomi was cautious, understandably so after Terrence. But Marcus was different. He respected her boundaries. He listened when she talked. He was patient with Isaiah. After a year of dating, he proposed. Naomi said yes. At the wedding. Small, intimate, just family and close friends. Raymond gave a toast. My daughter has been through things that would have broken most people. She endured abuse, threats, and fear that no one should ever experience. But she survived. She thrived. She rebuilt her life into something beautiful. And now she's found someone who sees her value, who respects her strength, who loves her the way she deserves to be loved. To Naomi and Marcus, may your marriage be everything mine and her mother's was, full of love, respect, and partnership. Everyone raised their glasses. Later, Naomi danced with her father. You saved my life, Dad. Literally saved it. You saved your own life by being brave enough to tell me what was happening. I just provided the tools. Tools that came from 25 years of FBI experience. Raymond smiled. Tools that came from loving my daughter and refusing to let anyone hurt her. Thank you, for everything. Always. The music played, father and daughter danced. Isaiah watched from the side, smiling at his mother and grandfather. Life was good. Finally, completely good. And the nightmare was just a memory. A reminder of how strong Naomi had become. How powerful it was to ask for help and how justice could prevail when good people fought back. 5 years after the operation, Naomi spoke at a conference on family financial abuse. She stood before an audience of 300 people, social workers, therapists, law enforcement, advocates, and told her story. Not all of it, she kept some details private, but enough to illustrate the patterns, the tactics, the psychology of abusers. They isolate you, she explained. They make you afraid to tell anyone. They control your money so you can't escape. They fabricate evidence to use as blackmail. They threaten the people you love. But here's what they don't count on. They don't count on you being brave enough to ask for help. They don't count on the people who love you having resources and skills. They don't count on law enforcement taking these cases seriously. My father spent 25 years in the FBI. He knew how to gather evidence, how to build a case, how to coordinate with law enforcement. Not everyone has that resource, but everyone has someone, a family member, a friend, a coworker, a counselor, someone who can help. The key is to speak up, to refuse to suffer in silence. Because when you speak up, when you ask for help, when you let people intervene, that's when you take your power back. The audience applauded. During the Q&A, someone asked, what would you say to someone who's in the situation you were in? Too scared to tell anyone, feeling completely trapped. Naomi thought for a moment. I'd say you're stronger than you think. The fact that you're still functioning, still surviving, still protecting your children, that's strength. That's incredible strength. And I'd say, find one person you trust. Just one. Tell them everything. Let them help you figure out the next steps. You don't have to solve this alone. You don't have to be FBI trained or legally savvy or financially sophisticated. You just have to be brave enough to say, I need help. Because once you say those words, everything changes. The isolation breaks. The fear loses its power. And the people who've been controlling you realize they've lost their advantage. That's when you start winning. More applause. After the conference, several people approached Naomi to share their own stories, to ask for advice, to thank her for speaking. One woman, maybe 50 years old, said, my daughter-in-law is doing this to my son, taking his paycheck, controlling everything. He's too scared to leave. What should I do? Talk to him, privately. Tell him he's not alone, that you'll help him. And then find resources. A lawyer, a therapist, maybe law enforcement if there are threats involved. Build a support system around him so he feels safe enough to make a change. Thank you. Thank you so much. Naomi hugged her. You're being the parent he needs. Keep fighting for him. That night, back in her hotel room, Naomi called her father. How did it go? He asked. Good. Really good. People responded well. I think I helped some people. I'm proud of you. Using your experience to help others. That's powerful. I learned it from you. We learned it together. They talked for an hour about the conference, about Isaiah's latest school project, about Naomi's work, about life. Before hanging up, Raymond said, you know what I think about sometimes? What? That day on the subway platform, when I saw you standing there with Isaiah looking like you'd been broken by the world. I think about how close we came to missing each other that day. What do you mean? If I'd taken a different train, if you'd been 5 minutes earlier or later, if I hadn't called out your name, we might have missed each other, and you might have kept suffering in silence. I'd have told you eventually. Maybe, or maybe you'd have been too scared. Maybe Lorraine's threats would have worked. Maybe you'd have signed over that condo and lost everything. But we didn't miss each other. You saw me, you asked the right questions, and you saved me. We saved each other. You trusted me. That's what made everything possible. I'll always trust you, Dad. Always. I know, and I'll always protect you. That's what fathers do. They said goodnight. Naomi lay in bed, thinking about that day on the subway platform, how terrified she'd been, how exhausted, how hopeless, and how everything had changed in one conversation. Don't worry, her father had said. I've handled bigger threats than this. And he had. He dismantled Lorraine's entire operation piece by piece, gathered evidence, built an airtight case, coordinated arrests, ensured justice, all because she'd been brave enough to tell him the truth. All because he'd been skilled enough to do something about it. All because they'd trusted each other. That was the lesson. That was what she wanted Isaiah to learn as he grew up. Trust the people who love you. Ask for help when you need it. And never ever accept abuse as normal. Those lessons would serve him well. Just as they'd saved her life.